Hello and welcome back to Pointing Up. This is part 2 of the new Snapchat series on stretching. I'm Desiree, I'm Delena's cousin, and I'm really excited to get to share with you today how the Lord has been stretching me. Delena does a wonderful job in part 1 describing stretching. It's really uncomfortable. It's very difficult at times, but it's absolutely necessary in order to keep our muscles flexible, our bodies strong and healthy, and God wants to stretch us spiritually. I really enjoyed part 1 when Delena poses these challenge questions, things to ask yourself when it comes to the idea of stretching. And my question for you, and remains a question for me, is, can you imagine the impact that it would have if you allowed God to stretch you? I remember a time when God challenged me with the idea of stretching. I was in college and pursuing a degree in music and singing, and God had really challenged me with this idea of whether my goals and my dreams for myself are more selfish ambitions or desires of my heart. And I remember not leaving the altar at this youth service until I placed my dreams, my goals in the hands of the Lord. I wanted Him to have full control over that area of my life. And as we know, Matthew 6:33 says to seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And so I felt that, in order to seek His kingdom and His righteousness first, that He needed to have full control over every area of my life, so that, later my success or my dreams would only come from Him, who has the best in mind for me. And I remember leaving that service feeling like I didn't know what my dreams were anymore. I didn't know what my goals were anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I just knew that it was going to have something to do with singing. The Lord had led me to a wonderful Christian dorm facility in New York City, where I was able to live and audition for Broadway and theater and film and commercials. I began to really struggle, though, because I didn't have a steady job. Tithing was something that I was challenged with while I was in college. And of course, not having a job, it became really difficult. In fact, impossible, it seemed like. But, God wants us to tithe and give our offerings even. So not having a job, I needed to fully trust in the Lord that He was going to provide that. So I actually gave my last $2 in the offering at church one Sunday. I was going to use those $2 for lunch that day because I actually had nothing else. But the Lord really came through. By the next day, I had a babysitting job, and I received $20 just for meeting with the family, and that was $10 or 10 times more than what I had given in the offering. So that was just a really amazing story for me, and I've continued to be faithful in my tithing because I now have seen, and God has proven to me what He's really capable of when we're faithful with our giving. And it was a very stretching time. Obviously, I had nothing, and God blessed me with 10 times more. So I continued to audition, and after a year and a half of auditioning, I landed my first kind of longer-term contract with a cruise line company, and it was the most steady job that I've had. It's the largest paycheck I've ever received, so I thank the Lord for that. However, working on a cruise ship is not all that glamorous, I guess, as it may seem, especially for a 25-year-old virgin, non-drinker, church-going type. Apparently, I'm some kind of phenomenon, and it's actually a very lonely life as I learn to live with people that I don't really have that much in common with, and I felt like God was challenging me by putting me in these positions where I found myself defending my faith a lot, and until one day he challenged me to live more on the offensive rather than the defensive. And with that, I began to be more open to loving people more, listening more, praying with people. I helped organize Bible studies for other Christians on board. I was challenged to encourage more, and just be the salt and light to this mission field that was apparently like a desert to me, that God ultimately said life would come out of because of me if I was willing to allow Him to stretch me. And I was willing, and discussions began to flourish, and rage almost, it seemed like at times, as people began to, instead of poke fun at me, they began to ask me more questions about why I believe what I believe. And hearts were softened right before my eyes, and more opportunities to talk about the Lord came about. And I just pray for more opportunities like that. I'm actually kind of afraid to speak in front of a crowd, but I was happy and humbled that Delana asked me to help make this video. And I thank God for stretching me. I thank Him for the ways that He's stretching me, the ways that He's using me, speaking through me, and speaking to me, how He's brought me through situations, in and out of situations. And I just know, and I want to encourage you, that God doesn't put us in these situations to just make us feel uncomfortable for no reason. He's stretching us for a purpose. And ironically, I feel like I'm still searching for where my career would thrive. However, I know that no matter where I am in this world, God is already there, and He will probably continue to humor Himself and me as He continues to challenge me and see just how flexible I can become. I thank God for even sending me to Africa in this last year, on my first kind of round the world mission trip, and allowing me to experience the things that I did there, that most people have probably only heard about. Miracles, healings of tumors, and a lame man walking, and just really amazing things, but just engulfed in a completely different culture. And so I was stretched pretty wide and pretty thin at that point, and I just pray for more and more opportunities to be stretched by God, because I can see, as I've witnessed, the impact that it's had on my world, as I continue to allow God to use me and to stretch me, even when it's uncomfortable. I challenge you to be willing to be stretched.